Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you don't know me, if this is your first time, my name is the Sassy Nurse and I am a nurse in Nigeria. Please do follow, like, subscribe if you want to be seeing me on your screen, and also follow my Instagram handle, my Twitter handle, and my Facebook. And then if you like what I'm wearing, you can simply DM me. If you like my scrub, you can simply DM me and I will give you the number of the lady who supplied it to me. Now, today we're going to be talking about the 5 things I wish I knew before becoming a nurse in Nigeria. Please stick with me. So guys, welcome back. We're going to be talking about the 5 things I wish I knew before becoming a nurse in Nigeria. And the first one is how to manage patients and staff. When I talk about patients, I talk about a variety of patients, a variety of cases, a variety of conditions. And in nursing school or in the university, you only taught basic things, except you have a midwifery degree and probably an added public health degree. But in nursing school, like the one I went to, you were basically taught across board. You were taught how to handle oncology patients, pediatrics, and you're taught how to handle geriatrics. All section of nursing is not left untouched. Even peri-op, you're taught how to, be in the theater and be a scrub nurse. But when you come out to face reality, it is quite different, because there is no way you have the whole specialty in your hand. You can't know it all, and for that you might find it difficult to handle some patients that you were not accustomed to prior to that moment. I, for one, had difficulties handling pediatric patients. It was hard because I didn't know. I had forgotten how to constitute drips, and I'd forgotten how to feed. I'd forgotten the basics. It was hard. But then we thank God that I had colleagues who put me through, senior colleagues who put me through, and every time I face difficulties, I always meet someone. I always speak to someone, because I am in charge of my actions. Number 2 is autonomy. Now, while you were in school or as a student, someone was responsible for you, especially when you go to the hospitals to work or for training. Someone was in charge of you, or someone is in charge of you, and this person has rights over you. This person takes the responsibility for your actions, so you are supervised. People come to see what you do. People come to ask you, okay, do it this way, do not do it this way. There is supervision and there is responsibility. So now when you become a nurse, especially during your second year, you find difficulties, because you realize that you have to make decisions for yourself. There is so much autonomy that is placed on nurses. You have to do things for yourself, and you know that you are accountable for your actions. So there is nobody that will come and say, oh, I was there when she was doing it, or I take responsibility for what she did. There is nothing like that. So before you carry out procedures, before you give medications, before you do anything for your patients, you have to be double sure that the care you're giving is quality, especially for nurses who work in Lagos, that there are a lot of self-aware patients. People now know what to expect when they go to the hospital. There is a lot of health education. People Google. The internet is exposing people. So you have to be very sure that what you do, what you give, the care you render, you can back it up even when you're called to face it in the court of law. You have to be sure that everything you are giving is accurate. You have to be sure that everything you do is considered to be right under the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria. And if you are not sure that what you are giving is correct or the care you're rendering is right, you have to meet a superior. as a young nurse, there must be a superior nurse on duty. There must be someone who is older than you. There must be someone who is more experienced than you. Even if the person is younger, there must be someone who is more experienced than you. And you must learn to ask questions. If you do not understand a certain medication that a doctor prescribes, you should ask him. You should go to his office and ask him what the medication is for and why we are prescribing it. There must be a rationale for everything that you do. Do not just be a oh yes nurse. You should be skilled. That is why you went to school. You should be skilled. You should know things. And then you should also try to advance your knowledge. You don't just go to work and come back and sit down. You should open books, see what the world is doing right now, see the new care that can be rendered to patients to make their life better. You can see the new care to ease pain. There are a lot of things to learn about. So please always be double sure that the care you're giving is right. And also please do things that are within and in the confine of your license. Do not do what is above. You can't be a midwife when you're a registered nurse, no matter what happens. If there is a pregnant woman on the ward and you are not a midwife, please look for a midwife. If you cannot find one, call your superior. Call the person who is in charge of your duties. Call her or probably him, and then report. Do not do things that are out of your license, because you will be fined for them. So please, let's be more careful. Number 3 is that nursing school is hard. Post-basic nursing school is hard. When you're going to school and then you are a nurse, you're a full-time nurse, it's very difficult because you have to juggle work and school at the same time and try to keep it balanced. But then it becomes better as time goes by, but during the first years it's quite hard because you'll be emotionally drained, financially, physically drained. So you have to be ready. People all used to say, when I was in nursing school, used to say that you just go to school, you can do this online, you can do that online. But in a country like ours that is not advanced enough, you virtually have to be present for all your lectures. You must be present for your project. You must do things on paperwork instead of soft, like you can send documents online. Lecturers in Nigeria, especially in the nursing schools, do not accept that. They are still trying to be open to it. So as time goes by, we hope that they are open to ideas like that. But for now, you basically have to be present for classes. I know some of my colleagues that are doing basic midwifery that have stopped school because of the pandemic. There is nobody to give them lectures because all the lecturers want hands-on. They don't know how to give lectures online. So their school has been paused. So you see how nursing schools are very backward in Nigeria. They did not adapt to the change that is going on in the world. So you have to be ready for that. And then emotionally, if you have children, if you have a family, if you have a lot of friends and relatives, you have to tell them beforehand that this is what you are going to do with yourself and this is how you are going to be from now on till you are done with the program, because you won't have time for yourself. You might not have time for your children. You might not even have time for your husband because it's so draining. You have to come from work and nobody cares if you did a 12-hour night shift. Nobody cares if you did a 36-hour shift. All they want is that you should be present in school and that you should submit your projects or your assignments at the right time, and that you should also pay your fees at the right time. Nobody cares. So you have to be mentally prepared for these things. Number 4 is that you have to, be ready for the unpaid hours. Oh, sorry, that's number 3. You have to be ready for the unpaid hours. In Nigeria, there are a lot of jobs that are demeaning. Nurses take on a lot of jobs that are demeaning. You find nurses doing jobs that involve what a nurse assistant will do. Where I trained in a teaching hospital, those nurses were entitled to nursing assistants. So somehow their job was made easier. Some of the menial care that was supposed to be given to the patients, the nursing assistants would render that under supervision of the registered nurse. Now, But in a private setting, they most likely do not, employ nursing assistants. And this kind of impedes your job, because you have to be what the nursing assistant is to the patient, and you also have to be what the nurse is to the patient. So you find yourself taking on tasks that are not in your job description. And you have to do this because sometimes you just want to satisfy your conscience. You want to be sure that what I am giving the patient is, absolute care. You're giving the patient absolute care. And this kind of makes you, sometimes these nurses lose their self-esteem. Imagine that a colleague of mine used to work in a private hospital, and she had to take on jobs like, getting the patient. They didn't have a water heater, so she had to basically fetch hot water from a pot and share to the patients in the morning. It was a schedule in her as a part of her night shift. It was horrible. And then there are times where you have to hand over and your colleague is not yet there, so you have to take on her shift as well, or his shift as well. And this becomes a problem because in Nigeria, I noticed that some nurses are really lackadaisical to work. People are lackadaisical to work. You cannot say that you report to duty an hour after the duty had resumed and you're okay with this. Sometimes they just come and tell you sorry. So you should just be ready, mentally ready for these things, that these things will happen. This is how nursing is in Nigeria. And then you should also know that your employer might not regard extra hours. So you should be ready for that. You should also learn to read your contracts to be sure what the contract is about and what jobs to expect and what not to expect. Number 4 is that there is a lot of paperwork. It is not just having to give medications. There is a lot of paperwork. A lot of it, lots and lots of it, especially in places where they use computers. So you have to make sure that at the end of every shift, you impute the care you have rendered to each patient, and also be sure that you registered your name and what you did for the patient. There's different sections of paperwork to be done. So this might vary from hospital to hospital, and it might also vary depending on how many patients you have to take care of. In hospitals where the sections are divided into wards and not particularly into units, you find one nurse taking care of 50 patients, and at the end of the day, it is so hard to document. So you basically have to schedule yourself for the care proper, and then the documentation, because care without documentation is rubbish. I mean, you basically did not do anything during that shift. So care without documentation is wrong. So you should also try to allocate time for documentation in your schedule. And finally, number 5 is the disrespect that comes with nursing. Yes, nursing is a noble profession. Nursing is sweet. Nursing is amazing, especially when you love what you do. Nursing is so much fun. But there is a level of disrespect that comes with nursing, especially in Nigeria. I don't know about other places, but in Nigeria here, it is a big deal. You find yourself being disrespected by patients, find yourself being disrespected by doctors, find yourself being disrespected by the lab scientists, the pharmacists. Sometimes it might just be a minor issue that would have been resolved, but because it is the nurse who handles it, it becomes a very big issue. And so you must learn how to have a cordial relationship with everybody at the office, from the doctor to the lab scientist to the pharmacist to the cleaners to even the cooks and the dietitians. You must learn to cope with them, and you should let everybody know where their job descriptions begin and end. Do not allow anybody step on you. Do not allow anybody to encroach into your job description. You must put everybody in their place while maintaining a cordial relationship. It's possible. You can't come to work, and because Mr. A is your friend or Mr. B is your friend, you allow him to disrespect you, it begins to rub on every other person. That is how the disrespect will begin from Mr. A. Mr. B will disrespect you. And then when patients do things to you that you do not like, please do not shut up. The patient might not always be right. If a patient molests you, if a patient touches you in a way that you don't like, please report. I noticed that Nigerian nurses do not like reporting things that happen in the workplace, things that they do not find funny, things that are unjust to them, because it's the patient who did it. So I urge you all to report incidences. That's why there's an incident report form. You should fill that and then submit it to your manager. Let them know what happened during the shift. If you want to file charges, please go ahead. If whatever the patient did to you is unjust, please seek justice. We shouldn't let things just, go under the carpet. This is how the disrespect will keep going. Imagine that a patient comes to the hospital and then he probably puts his hand into the gown of a nurse and then she doesn't speak up. He might leave the hospital and say that the nurse enjoyed it. And then it becomes a case of nurses enjoy being touched. And then the next hospital he visits, he will do it to the next nurse because nobody has called off his bluff. So please, let's not shove things under the carpet. As much as we try to render quality care, let us also remember that we are humans and we deserve to be respected as well. Please carry yourself. Show that you have a lot of things going on. Show that you can give more than just nursing. Show that there are a lot of things that people will be missing out if they do not hire you. Please, let's learn to respect the nursing profession and learn to respect ourselves as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please like it down there and subscribe to my channel. Also follow me on my handles, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you.